Welcome to Goose TV. I am your host, Charlie Stivers, and in today's episode, I get to interview a master's in blockchain professional. He comes from the traditional finance industry, and he gives us his take on the coming perfect storm that is aligning in Bitcoin and crypto, and where's this all going to go in 2024, 2025. So he really gives us a lot of tips and tricks and shows us some of these patterns that we've been dealing with over the years in crypto and how this is all aligning perfectly for what could be a pretty life-changing next year or two. So sit tight, and I'm excited for this episode and for you to get some of this high-value information. We'll All right, welcome to today's show. And today's guest is Eric Hendrickson. He's part of the Goose Magazine Cryptocurrency for the People team. And if you caught one of our previous episodes with him, he has a traditional finance background, but also took it a step further and got his master's in blockchain. So he is more of the traditional education approach to this, but is very hands-on with finance and investing, and just got so intrigued by crypto and is jumping in with both feet and having fun with this. And so we're getting ready to have an exciting talk. I do want to preface this with our disclaimer: please don't take any of this as your specific financial advice. That's pretty key. We're going to be talking a lot of strategies, our perception on the market going forward, this coming bull run, and we're super excited to have Eric part of the interview today. Eric.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, excitement is the key word. This is just like, I'm calling it the perfect storm. So as I'll get into here shortly, we got the Bitcoin halving coming up in April, right? And it happens every 4 years. The way I find it easy to remember, it's at the same time as the presidential election, right? So the Bitcoin halving is basically when you, as a miner, everybody's trying to compete with the hashing algorithms and try to compete to make a block. And once you complete that block and it gets verified on the blockchain, you get a reward. And it started out as 50 Bitcoin, and it went down to 25. And then every 4 years they cut it in half. And Satoshi Nakamoto did that on purpose to make it a deflationary algorithm. So one of the reasons why we love Bitcoin so much is not only is it capped at 21 million, we can't just keep printing money like the Federal Reserve can, right? Like the government can. It's capped at 21 million, but it's also deflationary, the top of this Bitcoin halving. And so we've got the perfect storm. So this happens every 4 years, but the additional thing that makes it a perfect storm to me is, as a lot of people may have known, January 10th, last Wednesday, the spot Bitcoin ETF got approved, right? And they had a deadline on January 10th. Otherwise, Gary Gensler and the SEC was going to get a lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. So they 11 issuers, every one of them got approved, and it's exactly like they expected it. They expected it on the 10th, and it happened, and they all got approved. So this is BlackRock, one of the biggest investors in the country. This is ARK Invest, right? That's Kathy Woods, Fidelity, Invesco, Grayscale, and others. And so these are some pretty big names. And so what makes it exciting is I think there's a lot of people that hey, I know traditional finance and that's all I know. And, oh, there's crypto. Can it, I don't know if I can trust it, or is it legit, or is it funny money, or, whatever. Well, the fact that there's all this money now going into, that is going to be going into it, right? And the ETF already started trading. Is going to be, it's just crazy. It's good. So the price, since it was had a quick incline, and then Bitcoin went down a bit. And Anthony Scaramucci from Skybridge Capital mentioned, he was on Bloomberg, and he mentioned, well, the reason for that wasn't that the ETF is going to be, excuse me, fighting a cough here, so apologize in advance for any coughs. The region, Anthony, and he's pretty well respected, two things were going on. Is one is they think Grayscale, a lot of people were selling it out of their fund to put it into the ETF because they have lower fees. And another thing is there's related to an FTX liquidation that they're selling some Bitcoin there, and it just happens to be at this timing. So you got a nice little dip here. It dipped down to 41, 42. Now it's already kind of coming back on top of that. But this perfect storm is just, I can't stand it. It's like what's about to happen. I think, and again, this isn't financial advice. There is no guarantees, right? Just because this happened 4 years ago and 8 years ago and 12 years ago, doesn't mean it will happen again. But all of the people that study it and the people that look at the charts see no reason to think it's going to be that much different, right? Type of deal. So let's just talk a little bit about, let me share my screen, and we'll talk a little bit about why I'm so excited.
And then one of the other, elements of this perfect storm that I like to bring up, a lot of people don't, is the Fair Accounting Standards Board, which is our accounting practices for enterprises, is actually allowing Bitcoin as a commodity, where in the past it was a indefinite intangible. So it wouldn't translate to the balance sheet on companies the right way, but now as commodity, it will. So I think we're going to see some enterprise adoption and small businesses accepting Bitcoin and wanting it on their balance sheets.
Yeah, very nice. Great point. Maybe we'll call out the third leg of the triple storm. Thank you for adding that leg to it. So yeah, it's just pretty exciting. So you can go to so to kind of talk about the halving and what is done in the price and in the previous bull runs, and then why we think the bull run is going to happen again. That's what I want to talk about first. Then we're going to delve into like, okay, all right, if this is happening, Eric, then how do I know what to pick, right? And it's overwhelming. There's over like 20,000, 22,000. It's just crazy, right? And how do you know which one? And you cannot. It is just impossible to chase 22,000 of these and know. And a lot of them are so obscure, it's even hard to figure out how to buy them, figure out how to do it and what oops to jump through. So we're going to talk about all that. So I happen to be on CoinMarketCap, right? There's a bunch of other ones that exist. You can go to CoinGecko. There's, CoinCodex is another one, LiveCoin Watch, but CoinMarketCap, most of them, they're all going to be similar, like, hey, this is here, number one in market share. And what is market share? The number of coins times the price. And then that will give you what this amount is. So right now, here it is. There's $837 billion in market cap. The next thing in worth of Ethereum is number two, and that's at 303, right? It's so important, this number, that there's something actually called a Bitcoin dominance number or any crypto dominance number. It will tell you like, okay, percentage-wise, this is taking up, and this is usually like in the 40s, and it can go up to the 50s. It will tell you like how much of the market cap that just this coin has. So you look at 837 million here. The market cap is at 1.68, right? So the Bitcoin dominance, well, it tells you right here, 49.9, right?
And then we're talking billions, just to be clear.
Yeah, this is in billions, and the total market cap is T is in trillions, 1.68 trillion. And so it's saying out of all of these 22,000, whatever the number is, it changes constantly. Some die, some get added, right? Pretty much almost 50% exactly of it is in just Bitcoin, right? So that tells you Bitcoin was a there's other digital currencies you can say, but in generally people thinking Bitcoin is the one that kind of started it all with the modern cryptocurrencies at this point. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. And let's take a look at that halving cycle and let's see what happens, right? So if we go over here, you take a look, it is Bitcoin is here, and what happens is, think of presidential elections, right? So think about, it usually happens in the middle, the first half of the year, right? So we're going through, so here's Bitcoin, it's just sitting here, kind of flatline, kind of dead, 4, 10, 20, or whatever. Then the Bitcoin halving happens in 2012. Okay, it's not going to be, it doesn't look like much of a bump when you're on this graph like this, but it's going to go where it's sitting here at $12 when the halving happens, and all of a sudden this thing spikes and it goes to 1,000. Hey, that's pretty cool. But look what happens afterwards, and it just crashes, and then it ends up going down, and now we're down to the 200s, right? And we're just kind of chilling over 200, 400. We're kind of flatlining here, and we're actually flatlining for a couple of years. And so this is what we call the crypto winter, and we just got out of that. I'm going to show you graphs that show crypto winter is done, and we're now, as far as I'm concerned, we're in the bull run, and it's underway. But the good thing is we're getting in early, right? So this is just a great time to be in it. So, okay, so same thing here. Now here we go into 2016. Okay, I think the halving was going to happen somewhere right around here. We're just kind of chilling, kind of flatlining. And then look at this. All of a sudden, when does it spike? It spikes in December. And remember this date, December 2017. Now we're up here, 19,000. We're up here. So here's a climb, very similar to this. A climb and then a crash. And it comes down, and then it kind of goes flatline for a bit, right? Or down or up. And then, so what happens now? Here's the next election cycle, right? 2020, okay, which is the Bitcoin halving, right? So it's the same thing. You just kind of have, like, you tend to see this little bit of a rise, and then it goes down, and then there's this climb, and then it kind of gets parabolic all the way up here, right? This is the fun time. This is when you're making the money, right? And just like you're making money here, and it's not as noticeable on this graph, but you're making money on this upside here. So when is all of this? The bigger money is happening in either later this year and into next year, right? When does this max out at, right? So now we're up here. It's that same, hey, look at this, November, what are we, right around November 9th. Well, look over here. Oh my gosh, it's about the same thing. It's in like November, early December, right? And so then what happens? Hey, we're all here. Bitcoin hit like 69,000 was the high, and then it crashed like a big dog, sitting down here at 16,000. And now where are we at here? So now we're going into 2024. If I go to the 1-year graph, you'll start to see, okay, there's some movement here, things were going, but it really starts kind of picking up here right around middle of October, and it's starting to climb on top of that. So let's go to Ethereum. Okay, why do we start with Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin, if you want to make money, follow the money, is the saying, right? And what people have done, look at the graphs and the charts, is in the bull run cycle, people start out with Bitcoin, and that's where the money goes. It just does, because it was the first one. It's considered digital gold. It's pretty safe. Then they take their profits out of that. Second, the money goes to Ethereum. Then they make some money in Ethereum. Then a little bit later in the bull run, after Bitcoin and Ethereum have spiked, then you get into the top 100 stocks, right? Cryptos, right, that are in the top 100 of the market cap. And these are the ones we would consider blue chips, if you want to use the analogy of stocks, right? So now the money starts going into the Solanas, the Cardanos, the things that are the avalanches, right, they're in that top 20, top 100. And then toward the end, when everybody just kind of starts losing their mind, money just starts going before it all crashes down. Then you get into, like, you can call them the mid caps or the micro caps. Some of these will be meme coins, right? I'm not a big fan of meme coins because you're just at the luck of the masses there. A lot of these, like Dogecoin, was just made as a joke, right? It's not no real sound technology to it. But if you can make money. But good luck. It's kind of like rolling the dice at Vegas, right? And then it goes, or the degen coins, they can call them, right? Type of deal. So that's kind of how you follow the money. So let's just kind of follow that money. We go to Bitcoin, we go to Ethereum. So take a look at this. So now here's the same thing. Ethereum's getting started. 2016 is here. Here's that same run. You get a little blip. It goes down and it goes high. But interesting, look at this. Notice how this was January was the high. And when I was at the same point in the graph, it was at December, right? A month before. So that kind of falls in line with what we said. The Bitcoin usually maxes out first, then Ethereum maxes out second, right? And this graph kind of points out, but it's the same kind of thing. You can just sit here and just watch it up, and then you can watch Ethereum, just like Bitcoin did. You can kind of see similar things with the total market cap of crypto too, of that graph. But this shows, and so it's the same thing here. So here we go, 2020, here's the 2020 election. You have your little climb, goes down, goes back up to here, and then Ethereum gets up high, same kind of deal. Look at this, November of 2021, right? So, and then what does it do? It crashes like a big dog, right? And then now, what are we doing right now? Now we're here in 24. If I go to the 1 year graph, look at this, about the same time, about October, mid-October, now the thing is starting to climb, and we're starting to get the spike. It kind of comes down. So in theory, if it follows what is done in traditional years, we're going to just see this graph go up to the right, and we're going to have a lot of fun here especially in the second half of this year and into 2025. Now the question is, if all of these graphs, so you can go to Solana. Solana's up there. It's had a really nice run, and Charlie, it's just like the same graphs over again. Here it is. Like Solana's just starting out at the halving. You have this big hike. Look at that. Oh my gosh, fall of 2021. Oh, and then it crashes, and then it kind of flatlines, and then now it's starting to climb again. So we expect the same thing to go, and have Solana's already had a good run, but we expect it just to continue to have a good run. Okay, let's look at the Cardano chart. It's pretty much the same thing. It just gets to be repetitive. Here's where it's starting. Okay, same thing, 2020. There it goes up for a little bit, goes down, and then all of a sudden it maxes out. Look at that, almost identical, pretty close into September instead of November. And then that one crashes and it goes down. And now same thing, it's starting to go up, it's going to go down, and we expect it to go up, right? Chainlink, just it's more repetition of the same, right? So here you are, 2020, your bike goes down, and then it maxes out, and then it flatlines, and now we're starting to go up. So this is super exciting to me. In the fact that, like, we're out of this crypto winter, we're out of this flat line. Again, go to the 1 year graph, it's kind of crazy that they're all pumping all about the same time, all about mid-October. So don't feel bad if you're watching this, oh gosh, it's January and I missed out. No, don't feel bad, because we've got so much more to run, in my opinion. Again, not financial advice, but this is just statistically what the charts show. Right? So any questions, Charlie?
Yeah, it's just heating up, and I think one thing we want to make a point of, the first ones you showed were what they call layer ones. I think you and I are big fans of Chainlink, because this is like that picks and shovels type of play, the company that's providing utility to all this and make it work like we want it to. So Chainlink is a little different. Yes, the correlation on the chart is similar, but I think there's some bigger upside potential here with Chainlink, which a lot of people agree with. So I just want to make that distinction with these coins that provide utility.
Charlie, I'm so glad you added that, because Chainlink is, yeah. So again, if you want to, like, I don't know what to do, Eric, you can just buy Bitcoin, or you can go 50-50 with Ethereum. Now, me personally, I think Ethereum is going to go for like I said, 3 to 4x on Bitcoin, 4 to 6x. But Chainlink, some of the predictions, they're expecting that to go a lot higher. Chainlink, yeah, I mean, what they're doing, and just they're doing stuff that nobody else is doing, and being an oracle to all these little blockchains. And just like it sounds like, it's the chain that links all these blockchains together. And the way they are positioned themselves and how much they have fallen off the high is just There's a lot of people there, including myself. In fact, that's my biggest bag is Chainlink right now. I loaded up on Chainlink. I've got Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think they're pretty equal. I want to get a little bit more Ethereum because I feel with the smart contracts and the use cases, it's going to be better. But if you want to get to the bigger gains, then I do think something like Chainlink is going to give you that, right? Again, not financial advice, but I think that's going to give it to you. Now, this gets back into like how, so I think let's finish up the bull run. September 2025 would be a traditional time. So we're just going to hold our cryptos and sell on in September 2025. No, because nowadays everybody knows these charts. Everybody knows this is like the fourth cycle now, and they know it's coming. So I've had some people recommend you might want to get out 100 days earlier before that, because other people are going to realize, well, they got to get out early, and then it keeps backing up. So try to get out. So that's one of my bullet points, was like when to sell. Don't wait till September 2025. Who knows, right? I mean, there's somebody that says the bull run's going to just keep on going for another year. Someone else said this one might be shorter. There's this thing of like the last bull run compared to 2 bull runs, again, was lower highs, right? So percentage-wise, it didn't go as high as they thought, right? Bitcoin went to 69K. They were expecting to go to 80 to 200K, depending who you talk to. So some people are saying there will be lower highs and percentage-wise won't be as high. I think I personally kind of disagree with that, with what you mentioned, Charlie, as well as the spot Bitcoin and the Ethereum Bitcoin ETF, and that it gets legitimized. I think this will be a pretty healthy bull run on top of it, type of deal. So when to sell, and it's nobody knows the exact date. So I recommend people to kind of stagger out, right? So one of the things is, let's say I bought $1,000 worth of Chainlink, and let's say this thing doubles and it looks like it's just going to kind of keep on going. And I know I've still got, a bunch of the bull run left. I may consider, if you put in 1,000 and now let's say you're worth 2,000 or 3,000, take out your $1,000, take out your initial capital, right? And then what we do is like, now whatever money you put into it, you're not going to lose money because you got your 1,000 out already, right? So you've already paid yourself. So if this thing all goes to like drops 90%, you're not losing any money. You got your initial principal out, but yet you've still left the other amount left in there for it continue to go up. And then as it climbs, a lot of people, including myself, recommend is hard. You want to get greedy, and it's going. And so many people got so greedy last cycle that it just dropped very quickly, like in the matter of a week or two, right? And just could lose 70% and get wrecked pretty quickly. So maybe consider like, hey, it's still climbing. I think it's got a ways to go, but let me take out 10%. Let me take out 20%. Then I can at least lock in some of these profits, but I'm still leaving some in there. And then if it keeps on climbing, okay, well, all right, maybe I'll take another 10, 20%, right? So then you kind of, what you don't want to do is just say, look at me, I'm paper rich. Oh, it's just going to go to the moon, and I'm 10x. Well, it's going to go 100x, so I'm going to be driving Lambos to the moon, right? Like the saying, like they always like to say. And then you get so greedy, and then it just tanks, and you're like, wow, I had all this paper money, and I never took it out of it. So when to sell is think about staggering, thinking about taking out some percentages. Keep an eye that this thing doesn't go to the heavens. If it traditionally, the bull market tends to fall after the Bitcoin halving, it tends to correct. It tends to drop 80%. Some of these coins may not even exist. Now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink are going to be around, but some of these more obscure ones, they may not even make it. So keep that in mind as you're going, right? So I would say the two toughest things is when to sell, and then the first toughest thing is what to buy, right? And how do you know with 22,000? How do you pick it, right? Well, like I said, I don't think you can go wrong with Bitcoin, and I don't think you can go wrong with Ethereum. Now is the time to buy them because we are on the beginning of the bull run cycle. We're only a couple months into it. We think we've got till fall of 2025. If nobody knows, but if it does what it traditionally has done, so then how do you pick it, right? So you can do your Bitcoin, Ethereum. If you want to get something a little bit bigger, try to look at like a Chainlink. But you got to do your own research and figure it out. Now, if you wanna, it's high risk, high reward, as I like to say. It's no different than stocks, right? You can buy something in the Dow 30 that pays a dividend, it's a blue chip. It's going to go up a little bit. It's going to go down a little bit. It's probably not going to be real super volatile. You're going to get your dividend. It'll be a nice, safe bet, but it isn't going to get you rich overnight. And you may get lucky and find some really small, obscure stock, and that goes crazy, but that whole small, obscure stock can go down. So it's to nothing, right? So it's high risk, high reward. So you have to figure out what is your risk tolerance, just like any investor, right? Even with my 401k, how much if I'm more risky, I'm going to go more stocks. If I'm less risky, I'm going to do bonds and fixed income and money markets and things, right? So you figure out your tolerance. It's the same thing when you're picking stocks, right? So, Charlie, anything you want to add in there before I kind of get into some specifics?
Yeah, a couple things. So on when to sell, one of the strategies, when we're buying, dollar cost averaging. So every paycheck or every month, you're putting in, X amount, whatever, $100, $200 a month for a paycheck. Same thing on selling. You can dollar cost average out. And, similar to what you were saying, every so often, just take a little profit off the table, take a little bit more profit off the table, and, leave a chunk in there, again, for house money. And then secondly is, having this long-term time frame on, letting this all play out. My whole thesis is this is just an evolution of the internet. And this is digital money on the internet, and we'll be able to see how this all evolves in the next 5-10 years. So that's part of, like, if you need help in what is crypto, what is Bitcoin, it's just the digital money that we're already starting to deal with. And the other point I like to make is, if you think about it, there's only 6 to 7% of actual physical cash in our money supply. So we're already on this trajectory of digital money anyway, and that's where this fits into play.
Yeah, perfect. Very well said. Thank you. So, so at that point, you've just got it, and there's tools out there to kind of help you decide. But you figure out, okay, let's just say I've got my blue chips, put some money in Bitcoin, put some money in Ethereum, maybe I got some Chainlink or Solana, whatever I think is going to be good. And then you might want to say, all of this stuff, again, not a financial advice for the fifth time, but also at the end of the day, only put in what you can afford to lose. Realistically, right? There's so many scams out there. People can hack your account. You got to be careful. That's one of the things we do at Cryptocurrency for the People, is help you with that security, help you to get that off a centralized exchange, help to protect it, right? As well as try to give you tools like this to help you figure out what to invest in. But don't bet anything that you can't afford to lose. So at the end of the day, you still got to pay the mortgage. You still got to put food on the table, right? Take care of your kids if you have them, whatnot, right? So at this point, but let's just say we've kind of done our blue chip homework. We've got some stuff, and now we got a pile of money. We're like, we're going to try to get a little risky. Let's kind of chase some of this stuff, right? And let's kind of see what happens. And how do I pick that out? And one of the things is, and again, it's like I said, it's like I kind of consider myself, like, when I look at this, I got to be half technologist and I have to be like half a momentum investor, right? Okay. So as a technologist, and I'm in IT, and as a technologist, it's easy to get wrapped up in something that's really good. Oh my God, this technology is so great. I got this solution I know of, and it's going to be so good. And that may be great, but if nobody adopts it, or from an investing perspective, right, if not enough people know about it, there's not a narrative, right? If this narrative is so complex that nobody can understand it, and word doesn't get out, and nobody's talking about it on the social media platforms and stuff, as great as the technology is, it's not going to really move because there's not a lot of momentum. There's not a great narrative, right? On the flip side is, you don't want to just have a narrative with nothing behind it, right? That gets me to Dogecoin. I'm like, it went up. Why? Because Elon Musk tweeted about it, and it goes up 20%, right? And that's just kind of silly. So we're all hoping Elon tweets a whole bunch, and hopefully a bunch of other people jump in, and I can get out before everybody else bails. It's just so tricky with that. So I would consider, statistically, momentum investors do better than technologists. It's just a fact, right? From an investment perspective. So again, depending if you love technology and you just want to buy technology, go for it. I'm personally here to make money, and so I'm going to go with, it's going to be a combination of that. I want to get something that has a good narrative that people are talking about, that has some momentum, that has some people are talking about, but I also want to be able to take a look at behind the scenes and say, is this legit? Are the founders good? Are they well backed? Are the people that backing this good? Or is this just a rug pull, right? A rug pull is someone can put up a website, an email, and talk about this coin, and they can release it. Then the next thing you know, with the rug pull, the website is down, the email address is gone, they've taken all of the money, and then you have nothing, and you've just lost your money, right? So, so for something, be very careful catching something that's up and beginning and it's new. In general, like an ICO, initial coin offering, I'd be really skeptical about trying to get on that the day that they drop, or even 2 days after they drop or whatever, because right now there's so many bots that are out there that the bots will automatically buy this as soon as it hits the market before you can do it. And then they will dump it and get out and take a profit, whether it's 6 hours, 12 hours, 3 days later or whatever. And so you may get in and thinking, hey, well, I'm nice and early and I got to get a hold of this stuff. And then so you buy it, but then the bots all dump on you. And so a lot of these ICOs have a nice big incline, but then 3 weeks later, they've just really sold off quite a bit. And you bought in the high. So I personally am not a big on jumping on the ICOs. So how do we pick some of these smaller micro caps or mid caps? There's a lot of social media out there, YouTube influencers. You can go listen to them, kind of get some opinions, see if it's being talked about, look at multiple ones that are out there, but mainly do your own research is what you really want to do. One of the narratives that people seem to be talking about, like last bull run, like the DeFi was just a really big narrative. And then that was really big. And then toward the end of the run, like NFTs got to be really popular. And then Beeble selling his for what, 69 million or whatever it was. Just crazy for one GIF. I'm like, I don't get it, but well, whatever, somebody bought it. Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, right? All of that stuff, right? That's the narrative. That's all kind of cooled off. I've stayed away from that. But one of the narratives right now is gaming. And if you take a look at, this is just how CoinMarketCap does it, but over here, they've got it. If you're interested in Solana, BRC20, gaming. So here you can go into gaming. I'm just going to click on that. And what some people suggest is it's hard to know everything. So maybe you just want to specialize in a market. Maybe you're like, I'm feeling good about that. The gaming narrative on the blockchain is going to have some momentum. And from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of folks that think that is true, right? Again, not financial advice. We don't know. But one of the things that you might want to do is like, okay, well, let me take a look at this. All right, Immutable is on top, IMX. There's a lot of talk about that. A lot of people are really pretty popular about that. There's you got to look at it as like, is this just a game? Is it one game? Or are you doing multiple games? Or are you an infrastructure platform that you're building an infrastructure for everybody else, someone smaller to come along and use your infrastructure for you? So are you an infrastructure game play or whatever? So then what you may want to say is like, you know what, I think I'm going to like concentrate on gaming. Then you could kind of click here or find some other websites that'll say, here's some popular gaming stocks, and maybe just try to dig into Immutable or see, hey, why is Render up here? What's the point of this, right? And the sandbox, right? Getting into the metaverse and things like that. Here's actually Infinity. It had an incredible run last bull run, right? And then it retreated, heavily on top of that, right? There's play to earn, but then there's like play to keep is kind of a new thing now. Once you win something for gaming, you want to be able to keep those assets. Beam, a lot of people are talking about Beam. So that might be something you get in when it's, at a nice price like this, and Beam is potentially have a good run. Decentraland Mana had a really good, that had to do with that, and Sandbox were the two big ones that had to do with the metaverse, right?
Meta.
And they had their run last cycle, right, Charlie?
Yeah, and it just, when Facebook went meta, that kind of was the catalyst to drive a lot of these, and actually really helped with that too, because that was the first play to earn game. And we have to keep in mind, we want a global perspective. Actually went crazy over in Asia. So, for all of us here in America, we have to sometimes get out of our dollar bubble and think globally. Right.
And then you want to talk about Gala? Didn't you say that was probably one of your best investments you ever did last bull run?
Yeah, and that was the guys that did Farmville, I think it was, that launched on Facebook, spacing the parent company of Farmville. But a lot of the founders saw the opportunity in the blockchain space and started Gala. and a lot of the like Snoop Dogg is in their ecosystem, and and that's does drive hype, so we have to be careful of that. Um, but gosh, I mean, a lot of these I haven't even heard of, and it's just you have to take the time to, like you said, do the research and see what kind of adoption. Are they just a single game like Axie? But are they infrastructures? So, I think Illuvium has a good game or two. So there's some really good points in here. And if you want to go back on the screen a minute, we can scroll down even further and look at market caps.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to point out here, this is that whole, just like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, the other ones I showed, a lot of this stuff all started to kind of pump in October. So I really do think we're out of crypto winter, and we're.
And actually, before you click,
you want to go back to that?
Yeah. On Illuvium, this is a really good point. So you mentioned earlier there'll only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So look at Illuvium circulating supply, total supply. There'll only ever be less than 8 million there, so 7.8 million. So that's why this one's $86 and Immutable X is $2. So that's one of the things that is factored into market cap is what is the circulating supply. So this one, if it gets more adoption, it's only at 325 million. If it goes to a billion, that's a good 3x. So, it's back over a $200 Illuvium. So I think that's a key point to make in this whole tokenomics part of this analysis.
And that's a great point. And this total supply, there are literally coins that there's no upper limit. They can print as many as you want. And I tend to avoid those like the plague myself, because it can be so inflationary. Oh, let's just print more, and maybe the founders get more money, or the developers, or whatever. But then that dilutes the price. No different than, a stock dilution, right? Put more shares on the market. Well, that just dilutes the price, right? I always like to have cryptos too, like Ethereum is certain transactions happen, and those cryptos that will burn their own coins when a transaction happened. That is deflationary. That's always a good sign, right? So I like the fact that Ethereum is burning coins as it goes, type of deal. And so, yeah, that is a nice small market cap. That's great. Some of these smaller coins that are 0.00, 126, whatever, way out there, some of those, I mean, there'll be like,
billions.
We can print, billions of coins, and it's like, how is that ever really, going to take off and be that much sustainable about it? So, a great point. On top of that is, and there's so gaming seems to be a narrative that seems to be pretty good right now. A lot of people are thinking AI, right? I mean, AI is everywhere, of course, since ChatGPT, right? It's been almost a year now. It's just becoming everybody's, it's been around forever, right? I mean, for a long time, but for the average person, they're like hearing this and knowing ChatGPT, and I can use it for free, or I can pay for a subscription for it. That AI coins, a lot of people saying that might be the bubble that happens after the gaming narrative. So maybe you start reading. It's pretty early in that segment, but maybe that's another thing.
Yeah, why don't you hit back and let's scroll down further in market cap, and this is where you can what they call sniping. So even scroll down further and keep an eye on the market cap column. So we're still over 100 million. Let's keep going and going until we get below 100 million.
We can probably. I was wondering. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can sort by market cap. So here's the smallest one, 80 shares at 14,000. So here's some 14 million, 15 million, right? So here's the smaller market caps here.
And that's what's reporting in this sector. We're trading GGG and Creo. Why don't you type in GGG, because I think that one's like, 5 million market cap, and just to make a point of this, and a little fundamental analysis. So, and it's
stuff reported.
Yeah. So it's so new. It's not reporting all of those analytics that we want, and that's where you go a little step further in some of these other research tools. But yeah, I mean, fully diluted market cap 17 million. What if this hits a hot game and it goes to 200 million? That's a 10x right there. So you can see the intrigue on some of these micro caps that people feel like, hey, if I can do some research and jump on this before everyone else, and they release a hot game, I mean, you're just like, that's life-changing money with a 10, 20x or more. So I just want to make sure that we do cover kind of like these, the pink sheets or the to relate it to stocks. And that's, people, that's where you hear these stories of, I got in this one before anyone knew about it. So that is still possible. It just takes time.
It really is.
Yeah.
It takes time, research, and it takes some luck, to be honest. It's a little bit of everything. Yep. But it's the same thing here. I've got screenshots like from here to here. This thing went up. I mean, if you can get that span, it went up. Some of these went up 550% just in like 60 days. It's just kind of crazy. So you can see it's the same kind of deal right around October, mid-October. Then these things just start kind of going crazy. Now they've kind of retreated a little bit, which is what they tend to do in a bull run. And then they'll tend to have some more, maybe even some more downward action, some solid sideways consolidation, and then they kind of go take off with that. So the thing is, GGG, right? If you could have gotten in on October 1st, oh my gosh, you'd be sitting. Look at the gains on that, right? I mean, we were down here at 0.03 or 3 cents, and then you're up here to 20 cents, right? So if you can catch these things, go. You got to be careful about FOMO, right? If you're missing out, you're like, hey, it's gone crazy. So you get in here and then it kind of goes down. But even if you do get in here, I just think if you sit it out,
it's still early because it's
still early in the run. Remember, we
5-6 million
fall of next year if things follow the way that they traditionally have. So
yep.
One other thing I wanted to point out is this website. It's called Token Metrics. Now we don't have a relationship with them. We're not sponsored. They're not telling us to do this, but I like Token Metrics. You have to pay for it. It's a monthly subscription. It's less than half the price it used to be when I was using this in the bull run, the last bull run. So I'm pretty excited about that. So you can go to analytics and ratings, and to help you decide, there's an investor button here and a trader button, right? So if you're a short-term trader, you can take a look at like, okay, what is your trader grade? And they'll use machine learning, artificial intelligence, put all this information together and kind of tell you, these are ones that we think have the highest grade, the best chance. I'm going to stick with investor because I'm in this for the length of the bull run. And here's Tron scale. And Solana. Let's take a look at Solana. It's had a nice run here so far because they're part of the gaming narrative, and that's all been good. So it's the same thing. You can click on your trader button to see like, okay, how good is the stock to trade? Well, it's kind of a neutral to a buy area, and a perspective from holding it long term. The little graph is telling us closer to buy to strong buy. Right? The investor grade is 80.3. It's up a little bit from where it was before. So this will have a lot of what Charlie is telling you about, right? So what is my market cap? Here's my circulating supply, 432. The max it can ever be is 567. So we're getting, we're 3/4 the way there, right? Some information here. Here's the all-time low, the high, all-time high, right? They've got links to the different websites, right? So if you want to go to their website, to their community here, Twitter, Reddit, and look at any source code that's out there. The nice thing that this does, and again, you don't have to use Token Metrics. There's other sites that can provide this information, or you can try to figure it out yourself. The nice thing about this, it does a lot of, they talk about, oh my God, like 20 million data points per crypto. And so they scan everything, looking at what's going on.
Using AI
and ML, machine learning, and they will gather stuff and make these, things. So a fundamental grade, fundamentally, how sound do we think this in? Evaluation grade, 0 if something is overvalued and 100 if it's undervalued, right? It's at 35%. And there's a technology, how sound do we think it is? So as you look into the details in this, you can hit the fundamental page, and I really like it. it'll say, this comes from our database and we can't translate. It says, Solana is a crypto. This is what it does roughly. The community, how active it is. It's got a percentile score of 100. That means it's got a very active community, right? Look at this, 2.3 million followers on Twitter, right? So that's a good sign. Team and investors, right? So they'll take a look to see who's investing in this. Is it reputable firms like venture capitalists, right? Angel investors? Is it people, institutions that are reputable and they're legit and they're going to be around and they're putting money into this? Or is it just, somebody asked their uncle for some money and it might not be around next week, right? So they'll look at that and they'll go through this. They'll tell you they've got 71 employees. We push them in the 42.6 percentile in there. And it tells you like who some of the big brain holdings. I love that name. So some of the investor capitals, and it's got an investor score of 100%. So that gives me some legitimacy. If they're like investor base is that solid, getting 100%. Tokenomics, that's always what we were talking about. So we're at about 80% of the supply, and that's good. That gets you up like compared to most, because a lot of these only have half or a quarter of their supply out there. It's a healthy distribution of tokens. So that's all sounding pretty good. Competition.
Let me make a point on that real quick. So, I think it was Illuvium. They were sitting at like 50%. So that means the founders probably are sitting on a bunch of original tokens that are still vesting. So when that vesting period is up, that means the early investors, the founders, can start selling, and that could be, a little bearish. So that is a key metric that we want to pay attention to.
Well, and it's really interesting because a lot of that's something they will track too. Maybe not on this website, but other websites. Well, they'll be like, if you're a founding member or you're a developer, you get your coins and you get your bag of coins. A lot of times they have a lock-in period where they say you cannot sell your coins for 1 year or 3 years or whatever. So that's another good metric to take a look at. Is there a lock-in period? And let's just say a bunch of coins were going and it's 2 3/4 years into it and their lockout period is 3. Well, if they're just a couple of months away from all of these founders that want to sell their coins, a lot of them just might cash out and say, hey, I'm done and I'm moving to an island in the Caribbean or whatever, right? So be kind of very conscious. It's a great point, Charlie. Be very conscientious of that too, right? So this thing will tell you about competition, how volatile is it, right? Up and down does it go? An exchange score of 82% is like, how easily can I get this? Solana you can find on a lot of different exchanges, so you don't have to go through a lot of hoops. It's a pretty easy one to buy. And this kind of lets you know that. Trading value, which is good. And then, and again, so here, it'll just kind of go through, measures the usage of a project, scale of 1 to 10, right? Exchange, right? Okay, it's close to the 10. That's really good. Volatility in there. Investors, 10 out of 10, which is great. Community, very active community team. Tokenomics is 10 out of 10. Return on investment potential, right? What's your ROI, right? And then performance is 10 out of 10. So a lot of this is looking good here. You can go to technology, and now I'm putting on my technologist hat instead of my momentum investor event, and it'll tell you like one way of knowing, is this thing legit or not? Well, if these things are just rug pulls, nobody's done any development of them, there'd be nothing on GitHub, right? Well, GitHub is where people put their code that they develop on it. My God, look at this, 983,000 GitHub repositories, right? So many things are going on. Within that, there's 21,000 forks on GitHub. So this is just telling you very significant, like it says, community. This is letting me know, hey, Solana is legit. So if I'm looking for a blue chip, and I don't think it's going to go away when I see this much activity, and it's good. Audit and security, how good are they, right? At their audits, how many hacks have they had? They've had 0, which is great, right? What's their security score? 74%, right? So this is really, this kind of makes me feel, hey, this is pretty good about Solana, right? Now if you've seen all kinds of hacks, and if that shows up in these numbers, then you'll go. Keep in mind, some of the really small microcaps may not have a lot of data. Not all of this will be populated. So technology grade 87, that's pretty good. 87 out of 100, 88 rounded up. I'll take that odds. Development activity 10 out of 10. Security and audit 7.4. Code quality 6.19. How good is that code, right? The vulnerabilities, the complexity, right? I'm not sure how they calculate that, but it's, better than half, I guess. So that's kind of good. Maybe could be higher.
Yeah, the code quality, it probably got downgraded a little bit on that one, because they did have some network outages. I think that was the only concern that outside investors had with Solana, but yet they bucked that narrative and just probably one of the top performers in the last 6 months. So they're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are, and they've had a good run, and I don't think they're far from over. This is kind of a cool little chart scenario analysis here. Right now, 2.3% of all crypto is in Solana, has a market cap of this. This is its current price. And so let's just say this thing became popular and this percentage got higher. If it went from 2.36 to 3.5, then this is what the price would be in your market cap in trillions now. Keep in mind, I showed you earlier, right? We were at 1.6, right? 1.68. So if we go back over here, we're at 1. So let's say the whole market cap goes up to 2 and it stays the same. The price should go roughly to 109. If we go to $3 million market cap without changing any of its dominance, it goes to 183. If a lot of people all of a sudden, like, my God, Solana, and everybody's dumping into it, and let's just say this percentage, like, they get a whole lot more market share, and people are like, Solana's pumping. My friend just bought it, and I've got my money tied up in Bitcoin, and it's kind of chilling right now. I'm going to take some money out of Bitcoin, put it in here. But now people do that. Well, if it gets to be a 3.54% market cap, and we go up to $2 trillion market cap, then Solana should be worth 183 or 163. So it's just a little interesting chart in there. And then this last one is correlation. This is how highly correlated is Solana to another stock. So if you're big on Solana and you want to diversify and try something else, you might want to consider buying ODRI. It's a 68% correlation. That's not super high. There's a lot of things that are correlated like 90, 95%. They just kind of, if it goes up, it goes down, right? I know I used to own stock in Marathon, one of the Bitcoin miners, and I saw them on CNBC, and it's like, we don't care what we do, what press release, all the great things we do, it doesn't matter. If we have a press release and Bitcoin goes down that day, we go down. If Bitcoin goes up, we go up, right? That's just the way the Marathon stock is. MARA is that ticker. And that's just the way that it goes, right? And the CEO just said it. He's like, yeah, it's kind of frustrating. We can do something great and nobody really cares. It's just whatever Bitcoin does. So those Marathon stock and Bitcoin, there'd be a pretty high correlation. So anyway, again, we're not sponsored by these people. It's just something that I use. I find it. There's other websites. You can do this analysis on yourself, but there's tools like this that exist and other people that can do this, that if you're short on time, you don't have time to see how many GitHub development projects are there, how active is Twitter. I think they even checked like Twitter sentiment is it most people talking positive or negative, and they can kind of score that. And so it's just a lot of good information in here. And in general, same thing here. This is just a tool. It's not no guarantees or whatever. But if I'm thinking about some stock and I put it in here and it's the investor grade is way down in the bottom in the 20s, 30s, and trading signal is red and the graph is red, and that might give me cause to say, do I really want to jump in this thing, right? And there's no guarantee just because this is the topic. It could change next week and it could just tank, right? We don't know. But it's just a tool like anything else. And it just helps to do a lot of different things. Interesting, this has 1.76 trillion market cap, where they got 1.68 over here. But anyway, so yeah, I kind of wanted to point that out, that's things to look for. How active is the community? How much development is going on? How many people are talking about it? Go look at the YouTube influencers. One of the things that I would warn about is you get somebody who's really popular, right? Some of these people have over 1 million followers. They'll just say, hey, coin XYZ. They buy it, right, before they make the video. Then they say, this is going to go great, and it's going to go to the moon. Well, it does, because they got over 1 million people following him. Well, if he said so, and then I'm going to go buy it too. And so then what a lot of people will do will kind of FOMO into it. It'll go up kind of high, but then it might drop a week later or a month later or whatever. So be very careful. Kind of, when you're looking at the narrative, really don't just jump on an ICO because it comes out, or don't just jump on it because it had some really big spike in there. kind of maybe take a look on social media, see what people are saying, and did someone come out, right? You know, did one of the influencers in there, Altcoin Daily is one of them. They're 1.34 million. Alex Becker's got 1.3 million. You know, Elio Trades, he's close to 1 million. You know, Crypto Banter. I mean, there's just, you know, there's a Coin Bureau. There's a whole bunch of them, right? And so if you kind of realize what a lot of these people that have a lot of followers are going, they can single-handedly change the market themselves by just doing a recommendation. So don't get caught in the downdraft of that. Maybe just kind of let it sit and bake a little bit. Maybe it comes down after a week or two or three, and then you kind of get into it. But at the end of the day, make your own decision, do your own research. And, you know, if a tool like this helps you, then you might want to, there's a free trial. You can try it for 5 or 7 days or whatever, or find a better tool, right? Or something else, right? Or just do it yourself, you know, but a lot of opportunities. I just think it's going to be great. So,
yeah. And let me make a point. So you mentioned the YouTubers. So Coin Bureau is actually a great resource YouTube channel for beginners and advanced. They've done an amazing job with research, and they actually will pull in a lot of macroeconomics discussion points, and they literally have taken the time to do that research and follow the money, so to speak, or follow the policymakers in what's driving crypto in general, or a crypto project company in specifics. So if you are looking for resources, I do really enjoy Coin Bureau on YouTube. And then some of the other influencers that you mentioned, you know, if they're talking about something in the sector you're watching, yeah, write those down and then do your research on those and see if that's something that fits, or it may still be an opportunity, or it's on your watch list and you pick it up on a dip. Because again, we're early in this, so if you can pick it up on the dip and increase your ROI, you know, over the next bull run, it could be a really good entry point if you catch that dip.
Well, and actually, having been through the last bull run and seeing this, and now this one is just starting, and looking at the graphs and everything, like I said, I truly do think it is a perfect storm. No guarantees, right? Obviously, but I would just, I'm at the point, I joke about, I'm looking in the couch cushions for quarters and dimes and stuff. I'm looking for as much money. I've actually sold some fiat stock just to put in the you know, like, hey, this is a nice blue chip stock, but I just think their rate of return is I can do better in crypto, at least from
really
now.
Really good discussion points. I think we've kind of summed this up in several points along the way. So yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing your perspective, your expertise, and you know, having the visual presentation for our audience. It's super valuable. You know, all we can do is just encourage you to start learning, participating, and you know, if you do need some mentorship, you know, we're available. You know, we can't give advice, but you know, the only thing that, you know, advice is best practices on being safe and building up that confidence. And then, you know, we can make money